When I was little, I entertained you with my antics and made you laugh. You called me your child. And despite a number of chewed shoes and a couple of murdered throw pillows, I became your best friend. Whenever I was bad, you'd shake your finger at me and ask, "How could you?" But you'd always relent and roll me over for a belly rub. My housebreaking took a little longer than expected, because you were terribly busy. But we worked on that together. I remember those nights of nuzzling you in bed and listening to your confidences and secret dreams, and I believe that life could not be any more perfect. A dog's life. How often we've heard that phrase. What is it actually like to look at life through the eyes of a dog? In How Could You by Jim Willis, we are given that opportunity. How could you? We'd go for long walks and runs in the park, car rides, stops for ice cream. I only got the cone because you said, "Ice cream is bad for dogs." And I took long naps in the sun waiting for you to come home at the end of the day. Gradually, you began spending more time at work and on your career, and more time searching for a human mate. But I waited for you patiently, comforted you through heartbreaks and disappointments, never chided you about bad decisions, and romped with glee at your homecomings. And when you fell in love, she, now your wife, is not a dog person. Still, I welcomed her into our home, showed her affection, and obeyed her. And I was happy because you were happy. Then the human babies came along, and I shared your excitement. I was fascinated by their pinkness, how they smelled, and I wanted to nurture them too. Only she and you worried that I might hurt them, and I spent most of my time banished to another room, or to a dog crate. Oh, how I wanted to love them, but I became a prisoner of love. As they began to grow, I became their friend. They clung to my fur, pulled themselves up on wobbly legs, poked fingers in my eyes, investigated my ears, and gave me kisses on my nose. I loved everything about them, and their touch. Because your touch was now so infrequent. And I would have defended them with my life if need be. I would sneak into their beds at night and listen to their worries and secret dreams. And together we waited for the sound of your car in the driveway. There had been a time when others asked you if you had a dog. They produced a photo from your wallet and told them stories about me. But these past few years, you just answered yes and changed the subject. I went from being your dog to just a dog. And you resented every expenditure on my behalf. Now you have a new career opportunity in another city, and you and they will be moving to an apartment that does not allow pets. You've made the right decision for your family, but there was a time when I was your only family. I was excited about the car ride. Until we arrived at the animal shelter. It smelled of dogs and cats, of fear, of hopelessness. As you filled out the paperwork, you said, "I'm sure you'll find a good home for him." They shrugged and gave you a pained look. They understood the realities facing a middle-aged dog, even one with papers. You had to pry your son's fingers loose from my collar as he screamed, "No, Daddy, please don't let her take my dog!" And I worried for him, and about what lessons you had just taught him about friendship and loyalty, about love and responsibility, and about respect for all life. You gave me a goodbye pat on the head, avoided my eyes, and politely refused to take my collar and leash with you. You had a deadline to meet, and now I have one too. After you left, the two nice ladies said you probably knew about your upcoming move months ago, and had made no attempt to find me another good home. They shook their heads and asked, "How could you?" They are as attentive to us here at the animal shelter as their busy schedules allow. They feed us, of course, but I lost my appetite days ago. At first, whenever anyone passed by my pen, I rushed to the front, hoping it was you, that you had changed your mind, that this was all a bad dream, or at least be someone who cared. Anyone who might save me. When I realized I could not compete with the frolicking for attention of happy puppies, oblivious to their own fate, I retreated to a far corner and waited. I heard her footsteps as she came for me at the end of the day, and I padded along the aisle after her to a separate room. A blissfully quiet room. She gently placed me on the table, rubbed my ears, and told me not to worry. My heart pounded with anticipation of what was to come. But there was also a sense of relief. The prisoner of love had run out of days. As is my nature, I was more concerned about her. The burden which she bears weighs heavily on her, and I knew that. The same way I knew your every mood. She gently placed my foreleg in a tourniquet. As a tear ran down her cheek, I licked her hand, the same way I used to comfort you so many years ago. She expertly slid the hypodermic needle into my vein as I felt the sting and the cool liquid coursing through my body. I lay down sleepily, looked into her kind eyes and murmured, "How could you?" Perhaps because she understood my dog speak, she said, "I'm so sorry." She hugged me and hurriedly explained to me that it was her job to make sure I went to a better place. A place where I wouldn't be ignored, or abused, or abandoned, or have to fend for myself. A place of love and light. So very different from this earthly place. And with my last bit of energy, I tried to convey to her with a thump of my tail that my "how could you" was not directed at her. It was directed at you, my beloved master. I was thinking of you. I will think of you and wait for you forever.